Alright, so it is that time again. I am going to start off with this little brush here, and this is definitely going to take out any and every little dust particles that is on there. So I am going to just kind of go through with it just like so, and I'm going to continue going on. So I want all that dust and everything that's built up in there, everything to just fly off. And if this does a really good job, it's just going to remove anything that's dry and it's stuck on there. Just a little brush. I want it to be used against this, and then just, I can see the dust already filling up the air. But yeah, all that dust, I want all of it off, because I am going to put a new leather preservative. So just start off with the brush and just go off just like that. Another thing that I like to do, shoelaces, start taking the shoelaces off. Any dirt buildup, I do have a stronger brush. It's just a toothbrush, and I'll be able to scrub that one more time, and anything that's built up that I haven't removed by that time, and then add my leather preservative. But just like so, shoelaces are out. Same thing for the other one. I want the shoelaces to come completely off. Let's continue to work on it. Obviously, this area is not going to get any leather preservative because this is rubber, but you definitely want to get as much out as possible, to include this area too as well. Now we're going to get into it with the toothbrush. And this is anything that's added on there that I still have extra. I definitely want to get in there as much as possible. In between this little tiny area right here where the rubber and the plastic meets, I definitely want to hit it in there. And it does a really good job. Something with stronger bristles. In between these sections here where they have the actual sewing, and between two pieces that are separate, this piece of leather and this piece of leather, definitely want to clean that off as much as possible and just continue. The reason I took off the shoelaces is because it allows you to brush back and forth without skipping and bumping back and forth. There's no skip there, just a continuous brush, on and off, continuous. And then this, since it's a little bit harder, it allows me to get really in between these little metal pieces here, and it's really nice. If you're like me and you work every day with your boots, it is one of those investments that you definitely want to take care of, because it takes care of your feet, and your feet are gonna take you back and forth from a job site to the next one, to another job site. So if your feet aren't doing well, you're not gonna be doing well. So I really take care of my boots. I do it as much as possible, or whenever I have a chance. Obviously, I am gonna spend a couple hours cleaning this, and once you do that, I have this rag here, and then just wipe it continuously, just rub it. This is gonna be like the hardest part, because you're gonna be pushing and pulling the rest of the actual build-up. And it's just gonna be a continuous push and pull, and anything else that's in there is gonna come out. At this point, it's even gonna pull out some of the actual leather preservative. So it's gonna take a minute. Just make sure you do it on both sides, all the way around, and on both pairs. Just starting off one at a time. You're gonna get your OBENAUF'S leather preservative, and you're gonna open it up just like so. For this, I do have gloves because I do have additional cuts and stuff like that on my finger, and I don't want to get this in there. My fingers are already pretty messed up. I didn't want to add any salt to the wound. In this case, beeswax to the wound. But you just mix it, and it does become soft, just like this. And then you're gonna pull some of this off, and then you're just gonna rub it in small circles, and you're just gonna continuously rub this in into the actual leather. You're gonna apply as much or as little as you want. The heavier the coat, the more the actual boot color is going to change. Some people like their boots to be a really nice dark color, and I don't mind it either. It looks really nice, but this leather is brown, so it just depends how much you want. These cuts here, it's a tear into the actual leather, so this is gonna have a little bit more color because it's a direct cut just in between the actual leather itself. So back and forth, just continuously, just a non-stop movement right there. And that's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna continuously do that through the entirety of the boot itself. Back and forth. And this is my first coat, but I am gonna go pretty heavy on these today. I usually go like a medium, but since these are pretty old, I really don't care the actual color of the boot itself, because they have served me for way more than a year. So I'd rather them to be a little bit more drier, especially now that we're starting to get rain again. If you're from Washington State, you know that it does rain in this state a lot. I do want these boots to be waterproof, or at least as close as they can to their factory setting. So just gonna rub this in back and forth, just continuously back and forth, and work this into the leather. And this is gonna heat up. The friction between my finger and the actual leather itself is gonna heat up, and it's gonna make all of this just not sticky. When you leave this to dry overnight or between a couple nights, it will disappear. All this stuff will disappear, and you will get really nice texture on the leather. When I do, sometimes I use the actual blow dryer and then give it a couple turns, and the actual heat itself helps it go into the leather a little bit faster. But if you let it sit overnight for a couple days, if you have time, because I won't be going to work until Monday, so I got a couple days before I can see if this works its way in without me having to use the blow dryer or the heat gun if you have one. They're both the same. It's just the only thing is the name itself. And just this section here, I wanted to get nice and covered up. These little buckles here, I want them to be nice and covered up. I want to work that leather preservative into every nook and cranny. And just like this, I'm going to repeat on both of the boots. And I really worked in this leather preservative on this side to my liking. I really do enjoy doing this. It just takes time. So if you do have an afternoon or you have an evening where you have a slot of 1 or 2 hours, just continue to work that in. Continue working this in, and you're just gonna work that leather preservative in. And just like that, this side is already looking really nice. I like the way it looks. It's still a little glossy because I still have to work it in a little bit better. just on this section here, I do have some sections where I do need to work that leather preservative in just a little bit more. But when we come on this side, it's night and day. I got a lot of work to do on this side. So I'm gonna repeat the process just like I did on this side. I will do on this side. I did add the leather preservative. I'm gonna let it dry for a couple of days, and then I'm gonna put my shoelaces back together. Now, if you do have a heat gun or a hair dryer, you can definitely continuously just add a little bit of heat, and it will work this leather preservative into the actual leather, and it'll tell you if you're gonna need more, or if you like the way they look as is, then you can just let them be. For me, I'm just gonna let this dry off. I'm gonna do it without the actual heat gun, just because some people might not have one. So clean your boots to the best of your ability with a rag, a toothbrush, or any kind of brushes that you currently have. Obviously, if you don't have any brushes, a toothbrush can do miracles. The last thing you want to do is add the leather preservative and let it sit for a couple days. So it's good to do them on a Friday, and if you're using them, use them on a Monday, and they're good to go. But for me, this is looking pretty good, and these will be ready to go. Now you clean them up quarterly if they are really heavy use, monthly, but it is totally up to how you use your boots. So I hope this is helpful, and if you do want to have your boots looking like new and you want to use the OBENAUF, the heavy duty leather preservative. Right after treating these boots, this is 2 days in. Obviously that beeswax, most of it worked its way inside the actual leather, and so they are looking really good. After a couple of days, it is pretty cloudy here in Washington, so they do need the actual heat in order for them to completely work its way in there if you're using some OBENAUF. So don't be afraid to use a blow dryer or a heat gun to work this beeswax in. But even then, since it has been cloudy, after a couple of days, all the material, as far as the actual wax and anything that's on the OBENAUF, has worked its way into the actual leather. So it is looking really clean, really glossy and shiny, almost kind of like a restored boot, like it's something that you would get right off of the box. So I highly recommend this product. I use it on all my leather boots, and I've been using the same boot for years. If it's not broken, don't fix it. If it's working for you, continue to do it. Obviously, if you're using a different brand and it has been working for your feet, I wouldn't recommend just experimenting on something that you think looks good but might not work for you. These Timberland Pros, they have been working for me really well, and all I have to do is treat them quarterly or monthly, depending on the actual use of the boot. But with that being said, this is a finished product.